From Tony Brown's Journal.
I know Tony Brown's Journal. I definitely know Tony Brown's Journal.
All right. So basically, after the rebellion and the riots in the late '60s, there was a decision that was made on the part of the media establishment in America to showcase Black voices in media, not only through television and through pop culture, but also through news. And one of the direct consequences of those rebellions was that in 1968. A television program called Black Journal was launched in Detroit, starring Tony Brown. What's fascinating, if you're interested, right? The Public Broadcasting Network has archived, and you can get it online. I think I have a link. I'll send it to you at some point. All of the episodes of Black Journal going back from '68 to like '75. It's amazing footage of Black political history and thought in live time, watching these. As a matter of fact, there's a YouTube page called Afro Marxist who actually has some clips.
I follow that page.
She has some clips of Black Journal. There's one where they have a whole bunch of Black leaders talking about is the future of Black America doomed, and so on and so forth, right? And I grew up in New York in the era in which I did, in the 70s, being a child of the 70s and 80s. Watching Like It Is with Gil Noble, which was the New York City version of Black Journal or Tony Brown's Journal. So we had New York, we had Gil Noble, Like It Is, you had Tony Brown's Journal, you had America's Black Forum. So these Black Affairs television shows, they generally had some kind of nationalist, Like It Is was kind of hardcore Black nationalist or kind of like cultural nationalist kind of politics. But the quality was very good. The hosts were very serious about their content, and they interrogated Black political issues with a certain level of sophistication, regardless of whether or not you agreed with their politics, where you really understood that discussing the affairs of Black people was a serious matter. It wasn't like funny business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm looking at Charlemagne the God as a guy old enough to remember the trajectory of Black news, going from the Black Affairs shows of the 70s and 80s to the rise of BET, the rise of Tavis Smiley, the rise of Oprah Winfrey, right? I'm saying to myself, okay, what exactly has happened that the American media establishment has felt that at this stage in American history, we can deviate so far from the particular traditional standard of Black media interrogation of the ruling class that we held from the 70s, 80s, and 90s until maybe the earlier millennium, that now we are surrendering the interrogation of the ruling class in the name, quote unquote, of Black people to a millennial hip-hop media personality. So what I'm saying is that before we even get into the interrogation of, Charlemagne, the persona, Charlemagne, what, good, bad, or indifferent, right? Like, for me, the interrogation starts with, what has transpired in the way in which the media establishment, and I, being the kind of leftist that I am, I look at the media as part of the institutions in which the ruling class uses to shape social and political consensus in America, right? Mm-hmm. So the question becomes for me is that not so much how Charlemagne the God becomes the voice of Black America, right? Because it's easy to see how, because you can just trace the places that he's come from to see how he got here, right? But the question is, why why has the media establishment, the liberal media establishment, chosen Charlemagne the God, the millennial kind of hip-hop personality, to be the interlocutor with ruling class power for Black America? And what does that say?
Thank you. That was my guest that's coming on the show. That was Pascal Robert from the current show that's live right now, actually titled Who Gets to Speak for Black People, where we took a deep dive into an article that I believe Pascal had found a while back that a woman wrote, Rochelle Hampton, for Slate, basically asking the question, why does Charlemagne the God, why is he the voice for Black people? And that's a clip of that show. I'll put some links in the description of this show so you can hear that entire thing. I just made that clip, and I hope the guest enjoyed it. Pascal,
My man Jason Miles, what's going on, brother?
how you living?
Doing all right, man. I'm doing okay. Doing all right.
I tried to do the grand introduction. I made this clip, man. It took hours to get it right.
Brother, that's the first time I watched the clip. I was very impressed with that clip. I'm going to try to send that out to some people. I was like, wow, you make me look like a serious commentator here with all that.
Oh, man. There was a few things I did try to do in that clip to mess with you, as I do in a lot of the clips I make. When you were like, this is serious business. It's no funny business. So I found a group, a Black Jamaican group called Black Affairs. And you were like, yes. Black Affairs is serious business. So I put a picture of them, and then I put a picture of James Brown talking to, I think it's Hubert Humphrey. So I was like, it was serious talk. James Brown was happy, but that's about as fun pokey as I get with these clips. But trying to find pictures of Black media figures, I couldn't think of. I didn't want to just get Brian Gumble in there. So
no, because we want to get people whose charge is to really present the image that they're serious interlocutors with politics, the ruling class, blah blah blah. So I can understand why you'd want to do that.
So Don Lemon, Don Lemon definitely.
Don Lemon is the part of the kind of new the new coterie, and he's a journalist. He's not like Charlemagne the God, but
Joy.
I think that the caliber across the board. I mean, I don't think Charlemagne is of a good caliber. To be fair, I don't think any of the Black chattering class, the Black media establishment, I'm not talking about journalists, writers per se, but particularly on televised media in terms of their capacity to interrogate the ruling class is affected today, because most of them work at the behest of the Democratic Party in exchange for patronage. What does that mean? It means that if you want to get a media budget allocated during election time, and you're a Black journalist, you know that you're not going to ask the Black elected officials certain questions because you want to make sure that media budget includes you were included in that media budget. So there's all kinds of ways that having Black media being tied to any political party for patronage neutralizes the effectiveness of the phenomenon that you would call Black politics, because it basically becomes an elite Black patronage, politics for what I pejoratively call fatback and biscuits. I mean, people laugh when I say that. I mean, but if you know your slave history, like, you know how much slaves used to actually desire a good piece of fatback? That was the primo, that was the primo eats. And people, folks love the butter biscuits.
Is there still a problem with that? I mean, I think friend of show Kelly Dietz is watching, who wrote a book about the history of enslaved cuisine. Kelly,
I don't eat pork, so you have to understand. So I kind of,
beef fat. I'm a fan. But
whenever people hear me say fatback and biscuits, it's like, what's the fatback and biscuits? It's like it It sounds exactly like what it is. You was like, "Here's some fatback and biscuits." Like, ooh, the good fatback and them biscuits.
No,
So
that clip, man, you said so much in the short time that we spoke. We only spoke for an hour because I'm changing the show where it's going to be more hour shows, and for the extra content, it's going to be on Patreon. But you fit so much in that hour that show is kind of, taken off as far as everyone that's viewing it, and really interrogating a class of person I don't think we really hear about too often. And even that girl's article, or that woman's article, when you sent it, and you, me, and Teray were kind of going back and forth, messaging about it and talking about it. I liked the piece. For what it's worth, I liked the piece.
I thought the piece was very good. I thought it was an interrogating a serious conversation. I just believe that there was so many. You could write a book based on the subject matter of that piece.
Yeah.
I'm not being facetious.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a book. That's a book about, Black representationalism in American media and popular culture. And, how does Black media interrogate the ruling class? There's a history here. Let me tell you something. My very good friend, who I've done her show many times, I consider her a mentor. I have profound affection for her. Janice Graham from Our Common Ground. Mm-hmm. I suggest you guys, if you are on YouTube or you're on the internet, check out Our Common Ground with Janice Graham. This is a woman who has dedicated the majority of life to Black people. She's more of a kind of nationalist, I love the Black people kind of sister, but she has a good heart and she has very good politics, and she's a very smart woman. But she's always like, "Oh, Pascal, you're so hard on the Black people." And my position, I always tell her, is that my position is I'm not hard on Black people because I don't respect Black people. I'm hard on Black people because I respect them enough to know that they have the capacity to function seriously in the handling of their affairs. And I believe that Black people are not damaged species, and that they can take the criticism about how they may be being played by the ruling class of the political infrastructure without feeling like some kind of damaged creature who just say, "Oh, woe is me. Why you say that?" In other words, I'm not doing this because I believe there's something wrong with Black people. I actually believe that many of the quote unquote I love the Black folk people believe that Black people are damaged, broken. You can't tell. You know how many times I've heard somebody's folks say, "You can't tell that to Black people." I said, "Why do you think Black people are stupid?"
Well, isn't that what that didn't that one brother? What's his name? Jason Johnson got mad at Breonna Joy Gray for saying the word oligarch. Like, who the hell knows what an oligarch is?
And this is the thing, right? Let me tell you how much of a charlatan he is. This is a Black political scientist on MSNBC. We can get to those fatback and biscuit chasers at MSNBC at another time. A Black political scientist who knows who the radical Black political scientists are, who knows the Black political history, who knows that there is a significant Black radical tradition that challenges capitalism, imperialism, that he knows that there were Black socialists in large numbers, Black communists in large numbers. He knows about the Black Panther Party. He knows about the Colored Farmers Alliance. He's read people like Adolph Reed. He's read people like Gerald Horne. He knows this, but because he wants those fatback and biscuits, and he wants that media time, he will tell Negroes that socialism and this left politics is a white thing. Negroes don't care about oligarchy. I had some Negro who was a political scientist on a show with Janice Graham told me, "Black people don't care about no political economy." I said, "Do Black people pay bills?"
I just want you to know right now that you're getting some emojis from the comment section. Our friend of show, I think you guys are friends now. If not, Kelly, please befriend Pascal. He's, as you can see, he's a real deal brother. Kelly Fonto Dietz, who was on the show recently.
Shout out to Kelly Dietz. She does really interesting work on the Black slave culinary tradition.
Bam. Gaynell Harris, I hear that, Pascal. We aren't intellectual softies. Give it to us straight, no chaser. All right.
Respect. Yeah, I mean, the part of the
Gary
problem,
Harris has a Megadeth shirt. Right on. Right on. Also, I get joked with a lot because this show started as a music show. It's technically listed in Apple as a music podcast.
you got to change that.
You know, it's really hard to fucking change that shit. And so I play heavy music, and so it starts the show usually. And Pascal was giving me a hard time because he's like, "Man, you got this heavy metal shit playing. People are gonna listen."
No, listen. I'm not what you. There's certain terms I need to put out for the followers, right? Is that I'm not a race essentialist. That's a fancy word for folks. I'm not one of those black people who believe all black people are the same. Black folk don't ski. Negroes is Spanish. No, I'm not one of those people.
Negroes don't ski.
You know, I'm not one of those people. So I was kidding Jason because for his intro, he puts heavy metal on.
Dude.
I said, Jason, I love the show, bro. But as soon as I send it to my friends who are not familiar with you, they're going to hear that heavy metal. They're like, oh, here goes Pascal talking to a white boy. God damn.
I think that shit's hilarious because that's just funny. But then when people that don't see the show, now I'm doing live streams, you can see me and shit. But before, people would call me that hated anytime I said something about socialism. I think people have in their minds, you know, kind of to your point, especially nowadays, there's kind of a stereotype of like some skinny white dude with pink hair that lives in his mom's basement, because that's definitely what numerous people have told me that I'm a white dude that lives in my mom's basement off of show titles. And I thought that was pretty funny.
Do these people know who Paul Robeson is? Do you know who the boys is? Do you know,
no.
Do they know that? Do you know what Coretta Scott King said about Martin Luther King when they had their first date?
What was that?
You know what she said?
No, she said,
I found him so interesting. You know what she said? This is an actual historical quote. She said, I found him so interesting because I had never met a black socialist before.
Oh. And so, yeah. There you go. What does Brian say? This Caucasian will get in their ski. So Pascal and I also we talk a lot, and I really wish sometimes there was a camera on more often when we have these discussions. Even when we're disagreeing, I think they're very good discussions. And when I'm trying to find the title of this show, I'm like, Pascal, what's a good title, man? I can't think of a title. And he said, Jim Crow Joe Biden. And I was like, oh, fuck, nailed it. So Joe Biden recently, and Pascal and I actually, and I think Torre, we're all talking about this, had a Zoom meeting that The Intercept leaked the entire Zoom meeting with some black civil rights leaders. He was with, so Kamala Harris was there. Prominent civil rights advocates include NAACP President Derek Johnson, National Action Network founder Reverend Al Sharpton, NAACP Education and Legal Defense Fund leader Sherilyn Ifill, former Department of Justice Civil Rights Division leader Vanita Gupta, and Representative of Louisiana Cedric Richmond, who is scheduled to be part of Biden's cabinet with I believe an environmental position. Go ahead.
There's one little point of information I want to show here to show the nature of black media today. When The Intercept first leaked the audio, they only had small snippets that they edited to show how horrible Biden's presentation was. I watched Roland Martin's show commentary about the snippets. By that time, only the snippets were released. I'm not a particular fan of Roland Martin. I will give him credit in this one regard. Unlike many of the black liberal hacks in the media establishment, Roland Martin was straight up. He was like, nah, what Biden was, that was jacked up. Biden needs to check his tone. Nah, that was, Roland Martin is not my favorite. He's not a dumb guy. He's got skills, but he does a lot of the black pandering stuff, and he's very wrapped up in the black elite kind of narrative of black politics. He doesn't interrogate class or capitalism or imperialism in any way. But I would give him credit in this regard. And one thing people, I try to be as fair as I can with some of these political actors, because some of them I have total contempt for. But I'll give him credit in this regard. When it came to the Biden links, he was like, we got to have an outside game and an inside game. We got to put pressure on Biden, blah, blah, blah. That's unacceptable. There were some folks who were like, well, this is from The Intercept, and we don't, how are they friends to black people? And, they might have been getting funded by Russia, because, the Negroes who watch MSNBC still believe in the Russian narrative, when there's been no, where was the conviction? How well did that get you with Trump for 4 years?
But didn't we call that out? Didn't we say that was going to be the spin?
Right.
That they were going to try to spin that like it wasn't as bad as we thought?
Right. So their first thing was like, and I texted some friends of mine, fraternity brothers. It was like, oh, those are just small edits. Those can be spun anyway. And immediately my first reaction was like, yeah, this story's going to die. It's not going to go anywhere. And I will give Roland Martin props for his instincts saying, you know what, that was jacked up. And he didn't back down from that. I was like, whoo, sucky. The Intercept dropped the whole video from beginning to end.
Not one interruption. They put the whole shebang on that bitch. They did.
The whole shebang. And you know what? When you watch the whole shebang, it's worse than the clips that they edited out and they gave you. It's worse.
So Gary Harris says, before you finish, he says, I like it that unlike Trump cult followers, we will hold Biden accountable even if we voted for him. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, man, I write for Black Agenda Report. I'm not a member of the Democratic Party. I don't like Democrats. I don't like Republicans either, because I realize that the duopoly is a fancy word for the two-party system. The duopoly's main purpose is to protect the interests of capital and the ruling class and neutralize the desires of the citizenry. And that the Democrats and the Republicans, at the end of the day, they agree on the major agendas, and it's different in terms of how they actually get that job accomplished. So I'm not one of these people who are like, oh, I love politicians. Oh, I love AOC. Listen, I think that some politicians are better than others. I think AOC has value, as much value as you can trust in a politician. The value is that when you fight her, she might listen to you. That's the value, as opposed to Pelosi, who won't even listen to you or care what you have to say. No, I think won't. Bernie Sanders has some value in that when you fight him, he might listen to you, as opposed to Joe Biden, as in terms of when you fight him, he won't even care. So that's the degree and extent of value that I give into this belief that people who are left entering the Democratic Party will be in terms of material politics. Is that the only benefit, I think, is that allegedly it gives us politicians that when we fight them, because we should fight them all, will at least listen to us. So that's my whole position on the Democrats, Republicans, or progressives, or any elected official.
Did you see Ben Burgess's video on Jimmy Dore?
I didn't watch Ben Burgess's video on Jimmy Dore. I don't dislike Ben Burgess. I think he's a decent guy, but I think that Ben Burgess represents a posture on the so-called, what I pejoratively call, trust fund gentrifying Democratic Socialist left that are professionally managerial class or black petit or white petit bourgeois or university professors, academically pedigreed, third or second generation college educated white folks who, because of the economic crash, became radical, became socialists, who look at socialism as this wonderful intellectual discourse that we need to debate in a way that's congenial and blah, blah, blah. I look at left politics as like, you're trying to stop people from putting food on the table. There's only certain things that will stop it from being a time where I might cut your hand off for that. Now, that's what left politics is for me.
Ben's a homie. And he's a pretty cool dude. He's a homie. I'm just letting you know that.
No, I don't dislike Ben. But I've got I think. Listen, I watch all the Democratic Socialist stuff. I watch Jacobin. I read Jacobin. I have critiques of Jacobin. I've been on Dead Pundit Society. I like Counterpunch. I've been on Eric Drake's podcast on Counterpunch. I write for Black Agenda Report. I've had stuff published in the Washington Spectator, in Alternate. I've had stuff, Huffington Post. Mm-hmm. I don't think these people are evil, but I posted something on Facebook and this was true. Mm-hmm. I learned this as a result of 2016 and 2020 election year. And I tell you what I realized. There will never, ever, never be real left politics in America without Black people. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen. Because frankly, Black people were used to neutralize it twice effectively.
I actually had read that. I was on the Sheeples podcast last night, and I actually read that quote. So props. Shout out to you, my guest. I read because me and you were having a bit of a back and forth for a second about AOC and Jimmy Dore, and Gaynell Harris said Jimmy Dore is right. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this because I definitely want to talk more about Joe.
Yeah, we don't want. Let's not talk about things we disagree.
That's you want to save that for just another conversation. Fair enough. I do want to play this clip of Joe Biden yelling at civil rights leaders. Part of it is the way he talks as well. I'm not giving him an out. He just talks like an old man. He has a very get off my lawn way of speaking to people, especially Black people.
Let's put this very clear. I talked to Glenn Ford about this. He said something funny. He said the only reason why Joe Biden right now isn't being called out with contempt by the Black political class is because he didn't have a Southern accent.
Yeah, because I think we forget. Maybe people are still, coming off of their Bernie high from the run. But if you remember when the run was Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden had a few pretty big gaffes. One was when he made that, and Black kids are just as good as white kids.
Brother, I'll be very candid for you. Months before the general election, months before the primary election, I watched and read a Joe Biden quote where he talked about Black kids and Black families. That was so racist. I told people, I will never, ever vote for this Peckerwood.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to tell you if I change my mind or not, but my larger point is that, listen, if anyone who knows me, first of all, for you guys who don't know me, I'm Haitian. I'm born here. My parents are from Haiti, right?
I'm 6'2". I'm a Virgo.
And let me tell you why it's important. For those of you guys who want to get to know my work, if you don't know, there's certain things politically about me. I despise the Clintons. I wouldn't spit on the Clinton family if they were on fire. Okay? Not only do I despise the Clintons because I know that they have been the most damaging Democratic, if not Democratic and Republican political administration to Black people in America going back to Woodrow Wilson, the fact that Bill and Hillary Clinton used the ancestral homeland of my people, the Republican Haiti, as their personal goddamn ATM machine will never allow me to give any level of political credence or respect to those two demons. And that's a fact. All right? As much as I despise the Clintons, I will say this. Joe Biden talked to that Black, that Black Agenda Report, we call it the Black misleadership class or the Black political class. Joe Biden talked to the Black political class with more disrespect than any white, Black, Democrat we have had in America since Lyndon Johnson. Jimmy Carter would have never talked about him like that.
Never.
As horrible as I despise the Clintons, Bill Clinton was demonic because he knew how to make black people like them. Come on, y'all. I'm Bill Clinton. You know I like that hog maws, y'all. Come on now.
He's saying "Lift Every Voice," right? What did he sing? No, he
yeah, I told you that in Vernon Jordan's biography, he's got a picture of him and Bill Clinton surrounded by. But Vernon Jordan is Bill Clinton's black kind of homeboy from back in the day. Allegedly, they used to chase tail together. But he's kind of like the black elite guy who gave Bill Clinton his political rise. And in Vernon Jordan's biography, I think it's called "Vernon Can Read." That's the title of the book. Don't let me get. No, that's literally the title. Vernon Jordan, who's one of the most powerful members of the black political class, wrote a book entitled "Vernon Can Read" because when he was a kid, a white man thought he was going to be a preacher or a teacher, and he was shocked that Vernon Jordan can read. Now, that's racist as hell, but why do you want to be proud to that to be the title of your biography?
Title of the book, yeah.
But the larger point was that in the book, Bill Clinton is sitting there with Vernon Jordan, both of them with their mouths open, looking like they're singing opera. It looks like something out of a 19th century, racist postcard, right? And all these white people are looking at each other like, "Oh my God!" And then in the verbiage under the picture, you got Vernon Jordan saying, "It's like, me and Bill Clinton singing 'Lift Every Voice' at Martha's Vineyard," and Bill Clinton says, "I was the only wasp who knew the words."
Wow. Of course you were, Bill.
That's in the book.
Of course you were.
But the reason why it's important is because that I just wanted to let you to know what back to why I call these Negroes fatback and biscuit chasers.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just look at that scene. There's some of y'all may not be old enough to remember Roots, the original series. There were multiple series of Roots, right? The original one
to the 80s, right?
In the 80s,
like
right?
Mid 80s, yeah.
I liked Roots for various reasons, right? I know Torre has a critique of it, whatever, but but there was a scene where it's after emancipation, and it's the 19th century, and some of Alex Haley's family are going to a historically black college. I think that the depiction was categorizing Booker T. Washington. I'm not sure. I have no evidence of that. The same way, if you read Richard Wright's Invisible Man, it's pretty clear. Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. It's clear that he's talking about Booker T. Washington pejoratively. In the scene from the Roots, The Next Generations, right? You have the president of the black college, and he's like, he's the guy who's trying to be all serious and stern to the black students. And all the white capitalist philanthropists who financed the black college are coming to meet the black president. And he comes in, he was like, "Oh, Missy, how are you?" So on and so forth. This is in the actual presentation. On cue, the white Southern philanthropist says, "President XYZ, please sing that particular hymn from the Negro spiritual. We all so much love to hear when you do the rendition." And this cat goes into like, "Why, of course, Mr. Oh Man River," like on cue. I vividly remember watching this when I was young, man. And I was
sorry.
But understand something. When black political because I have this guy I'm Facebook friends on social media who he teaches at a historically black college. He goes like, "We need our black institutions. You mean the ones that white capitalists have been financing for over 100 years?"
Isn't that kind of a small part of school days? Don't they talk about that a little bit in school?
They talk about that. And again, listen, very short part. I think historically black colleges are important. And it's not because I'm one of these like, "Oh, you get the real black experience." It's very simple. It's a materialist analysis. Historically, black colleges do more to educate poor black people than any other institutions of higher education in America. Period. That's a fact. We can debate their political philosophy, what kind of students come out of them. We can debate, does it create a black leadership that is about changing the conditions of black people? We can have all of those debates. But the bottom line is that there are not institutions of higher learning in America that have a track record of giving some level of education. I'm not saying it's MIT, some level of education to poor black people.
Doesn't Ibrahim Kendi talk about that in his book?
One of these. I'm not, because let's make this clear. We're going to get to the brass tacks. There are a lot of people, particularly a lot of quote unquote black nationalists, radical, blackity black, dashiki, black left. Oh, the black leftists, Marxists, and socialists, they don't care about black folk. All they want to do is kowtow to their white, Jewish, communist friends. They not interested in it now. Don't play that jazz with me. I've been writing for Black Agenda Report, and ain't nobody getting fat off writing for Black Agenda Report. I tell you that, for over 10 years. Right? I ain't got the pedigree for that nonsense. And I tell Jason all the time, yes, I've written in white publications. Yes, I've spoken on white publications. I've done Counterpunch. I did Pundit Society. But I'm not saying that you have to be what Huey P. Newton called a pork chop nationalist, talking about how you like, African food coloring to make you feel getting in touch with your black heritage. He used to call them literally pork chop nationalists, to be a black leftist. What I'm saying is that don't let your black left radical politics undermine your ability to realize that this is a racist, capitalist, sexist, imperial country that is primarily based on reducing black people, and this is a materialist analysis, to surplus redundant labor. In other words, you can't get no job, you go into jail. Mm-hmm. So the majority of America, who is white, doesn't realize that capitalism fails them also. Okay? Mm-hmm. So my point is that and this is one of the reasons I like you, we as black folk who are on the left, in the tradition of black left politics, like Hubert Harrison, like Malcolm X, who finally came to the point where he said, if you show me a capitalist, I'll show you a bloodsucker. Mm-hmm. Like the Colored Farmers Alliance, like the African Black Brotherhood, like the Black Socialists and the Black Left, like Paul Robeson. Like Ella Baker, who was a member of the Communist Party. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like Dr. King, who challenged capitalism before he died. Interesting how Martin Luther King and Malcolm X both died, not because they were exclusively talking about black and racism, which they had done for years, but once those brothers start saying capitalism is the problem, bow.
And start really unifying that message beyond just the urban areas and the southern black populations. Oh, definitely, especially with King. That was like his whole mission.
So my advice,
opposing war folk, also. Yeah.
My advice to black folk on the left is like, don't let these fat back and biscuit Negro liberal Democratic stooges deny black folk of their own black radical tradition. And number two, black leftists. And you ain't got to be some Mao dashiki wearing, fetishizing the Black Panther Party like it's the best of everything. I love you. I don't fetishize the Black Panther Party. By the way, I got my political education from Bruce A. Dixon, who was a member of the Chicago Black Panther Party, who basically ran political education under Fred Hampton. I don't need to hear you tell me jack about the Black Panther Party. That man taught me for over a decade. And Ford, also a Black Panther. So you young millennials with your fetish obsession with the Panthers and Black Power, rah, rah, I'm not that cat. And please call me a sellout any day. I will come at you. I will look at you and say 1804 and dead crackers is in my blood. I'm Haitian.
I just can't wait to see my inbox after this show.
No, and I'm listening. And I'm not. This is not about hate. Listen, man. The fact that I'm
No,
a
I
leftist,
know. Well, let me say
fact,
this. I know it's not about hating, and I know
the fact,
it's something
the
you're
fact
very.
that I'm a leftist is about the fact that I realize because it's America, not because I love white people. I want to be friends with white people because it's America. I'll be very honest with you. If I was a black leftist in South Africa, I don't necessarily think I'd be talking about no coalition politics. I might be talking about, well, let's give these people the Jean-Jacques Dessalines treatment. If any of you guys know about Haitian history, read a little bit about what Jean-Jacques Dessalines did to the French after the Revolution. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them. And that wasn't all white people. It was particularly the French. So again, it's not because I love white people. Again, different material circumstances have different solutions. And by the way, I'm not saying in South Africa that they should go out and kill the white folk. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is my belief that we have to have coalition politics with white, black, and brown people is based on true, number one, I want justice for humanity, period. And number two, the political reality of the United States of America, with whites being the supermajority of this country, does not give the capacity to black people to, in and of themselves, create a political opportunity based on revolution or anything else to overthrow the state and capital by themselves. So one way or the other, they will have to make allegiances and coalitions with people who have the skin color of folks who might have been their oppressors. That's it. It's not, oh, I love white folks. Listen, I don't love I remember, you know, I say this story. Torrey says it all the time.
Right outside, I don't like.
Dance is like, Dance is like, I love black people. I said, there's lots of black people I can't stand. I don't love at all. So I said, white people I don't love at all. Torrey is like, I don't love black people. I don't like white people. I don't love any motherfuckers. I actually don't. Besides my family, I don't love people. I don't know who you are. Torrey's even worse than I am. I don't know who you. He's like, I don't know who you motherfuckers are.
My mom wants to know your thoughts around reparations and the American descendants of slavery. That's a long answer, Mama, and I'm getting the show together.
I'm gonna answer quick. I think reparations.
You're gonna get me yelled at.
I think reparations have just historical justification, but without creating the right kind of coalition politics to make them happen, it's empty verbiage. So I'm not anti-reparations. I'm saying the politics of how you get reparations is more important than saying you deserve reparations. Unless you come up with the politics of how you get it, you're wasting your time, and this is blowing smoke. And I'm not even saying I agree with that as the solution, right? But I'm saying is that I don't believe reparations are unjustified. Now, this is what Tori and I...
You answering too long. Remember, I told you I'm going to get yelled at. That's my mama.
In terms of American descendants of slaves, I know the founders of that movement personally. I have massive disagreements with them. Even my personal disagreements as a person, by the way, I'm Haitian, right? And I have no problem. I would love Tariq Nasheed, Yvette Cornell, Antonio Moore to sit my Haitian behind down and interrogate me and say, why do I think I deserve to talk about black politics? I tell them what. I said, get out of Chicago that was founded out of a Haitian and take the 8 niggas that were there out. Let's start there. Number one. Number two, all of the land west of the Mississippi that these crackers got only because of the Haitian Revolution and the Louisiana Purchase, we'll take that back. Now start talking about black power politics. Because by the way, shout out to the Haitians who fought in the American Revolution, who actually have a statue in Savannah, Georgia. My Haitian immigrant behind America doesn't exist without my Haitian history. That's why I will tell those ADOS, you're Haitian, to go fuck themselves if they try to challenge me as an immigrant.
Well,
because you know why? And it's not about ADOS. Because I tell WASP ruling class crackers to go fuck themselves about American history, because America doesn't exist without my Haitian history.
Yeah, definitely. That changed the course of everything that we unfortunately don't get to learn in school. So my mom says, absolutely check out AB 3121. I'm just
I'm
reading what
familiar with
people.
the I follow. I know the movement. I know the California.
She
But the
says
thing is,
reading.
though, by the way, my goal is not to take shots at ADOS, even though I have had personal beef with the founders. I think I'm going to give ADOS some credit, right? I want to give them some credit, and the Foundation of Black American folk. I want to give them some credit. I think that their interrogation of the failure of Black politics in the last 50 years to address the needs of Black people in America is profoundly important. Black Agenda Report has been doing it for 10 years, but I don't believe that what they're doing in that regard is insignificant. I think it is profoundly important, and I applaud them in that interrogation. The problem that I have with their interrogation is that they fall into a different type of identity politics that believes that Black politics would be better if it was just ADOS and we didn't have Obama. Oh, really? So Cory Booker would have given you better ADOS politics as a president? Really? Really? How's Clarence Thomas's ADOS politics?
Exactly.
Okay. And shout out to I would like to have I would love to hear Tariq Nasheed go to Louis Farrakhan and say, immigrant nigga, get off my lawn.
Never happened.
I would love to see it.
Never happened. But I'm glad you called it out.
Okay. Won't
Now
happen.
we're people.
ADOS, let me tell you something. I don't hate the ADOS has some serious followers. ADOS is a product that Black people in America and Americans don't know their own history. And they don't know that there are Black people who are ADOS because their ancestors in 1850 were in Jamaica and brought to America.
Mm-hmm.
Or that damn near 3/4 of Negroes from Louisiana are just Haitians who got on a boat to break out.
Brazilians.
The foundations of the argument are based on historical ignorance.
Well, have you heard some of the rhetoric when they're like, Africans will not replace us? I'm like, you sound like the Charlottesville people.
Now, let me make this clear. And I've told this to some of the founders. I don't disagree that Black Americans or ADOS should interrogate the way immigration affects Black people adversely. That's a fair debate. Yo, listen.
Wasn't that Reagan's whole reason to sign the bill to get 3 million to 6 million?
Bro, I live in Miami.
Unions?
Bro, let me make this clear. I live in Miami. I live in Miami. And I'm not one of you. I went to law school and I said, yo, listen, I live in a Black working class neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? I've spent over 20 years working out with most Black men, basically Muslims, ex-convicts who are getting ground to powder from mass incarceration. I'm not remotely alien to the reality of ADOS working class life. And in Miami, I know how much you speaking Spanish can stop a brother from getting the job on the construction site.
Yeah.
That's real talk. That's real talk. The question becomes, how do you create a politics to address that issue that doesn't turn you into some Afro-fascist, Donald Trump-like Black Nazi talking about we need to end the birthright citizenship for all these immigrants? Negro, please. Negro, please. Do you even know that the constitutional amendment that was put in power to create birthright citizenship was one of the ones that made Negroes free? What are you talking about? Don't be stupid. There are ways that you interrogate these problems in a materialist way that protects your interests. It doesn't have to turn you into a xenophobic reactionary. With the American flag, oh, all of a sudden, I love America. I got an American flag. Oh, man. Let me tell you, I got a saying that I have. I love watching Negroes going through changes. I love watching Negroes go through changes. The same Negroes, I have a black Muslim friend of mine who was like, for years, Wallahi, I hate this country, man, what they did to my people the 4th of July. I came to Islam to try to escape this. Becomes an ADOS follower, does a whole video. Yeah, I'm proud to be an American. I was like, you know, Muslims all over the world are getting slaughtered from these imperialists. Now you're proud to be an American as a Muslim. It's interesting. As a black Muslim. Interesting. I'll be very front with y'all. Listen, I believe that black people should claim that they're American. I'm American. I claim that I'm American. You know why? Because this wouldn't be in America without my ancestors' blood. Yeah, I'm American. So what? I'm Haitian and American. What are you going to do? But I will say this. I think that black American people, ADOS people, have contributed so much to this country. And not just like, when people say they were like, oh, the music, the art, man, don't reduce yourself to entertaining these crackers as your contribution. The intellectual contribution of black oppositional politics, black radical thought, black movement history to democratize this country is a profoundly impressive tradition. And you know why? Because me, as a Haitian kid who didn't know shit about my history, looked with admiration at the Black American tradition of challenging empire in this country. And that was the start of where I got my quote, as we said in the hood, knowledge of self to interrogate my Haitian identity. I came through pride of my Haitian identity through the ADOS historical struggle and knowing its value. Okay. So I would love, I challenge, I said, bring all your ADOS leaders, let's have a debate. Bring the ruckus.
Well, we were supposed to look at the Joe Biden video, and we're coming up on an hour. So I will ask.
Wow, we didn't do any.
No,
again, I don't want you to say, "Oh, Pascal,
you got fired up."
Nah, man. Listen, I think ADOS has a good side. I think a lot of the original foundation of the movement was trash, and I know the people who founded it personally. I used to talk to them. Some of them 2 hours a day, every day, and consider them friends. I'm not going to name their names, but they know who they are. And people who follow them know how well I know them. Okay? One of them I actually considered a best friend. Ooh. And I'm not going to name names. All right? But the point that I'm trying to say is that ADOS would not exist. I didn't say ADOS was trash. I'm not saying ADOS was trash. I don't believe that. What I'm saying is that ADOS would not exist without Donald Trump's presidency, period. It's a fact. Fight me.
I think a lot of that discourse wouldn't exist without Donald Trump's presidency.
The ADOS movement and their reactionary movement to anti-immigrant posturing only comes about because of the Donald Trump presidency. I will challenge the founders of ADOS to debate me on that.
I think it getting the microphone that it got, definitely.
I was there. Definitely. I was there. I know the timeline. Google my name on YouTube with the name of one of the main founders of ADOS. See how many videos come up.
Gaynell Harris says, let's talk about some Biden clips quickly. I have to ask you this question, Pascal. Do you want to? We're coming up on an hour. Do you want me to hit some Biden clips? We go a little bit longer.
Yeah, we'll start doing
You want to ask people what they say?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do another half hour, man, because we can't false advertise. We were supposed to go.
We can't
I don't want to anyone say, "Oh, Pascal shit on ADOS." Pascal, no, that's ADOS trash. I've actually become more respectful of the movement than I was at an earlier posture. But my critique of ADOS, and I think they're trying to correct a lot of that bad politics and bad history, right? My critique of ADOS is that even if you guys get it all straight right, no problem, it's still going to be black brokerage politics. Do you think Joe Biden with ADOS and Foundation of Black Americans in the room are not getting screamed on like field hands because y'all are ADOS and Foundation of Black Americans? Negro, please. All you're doing is replicating the model of black brokerage politics with new movements in a hashtag, which is the same thing like Black Lives Matter. It's 1966 to 72 black politics recycled over and over again. Reparations is not a new idea. Black agenda is not a new idea. This is black power politics minus the challenge to capitalism being recycled over and over and over again. And why did it fail? Because the class contradictions of Black America never stops from causing the Black political project to be corrupted by class enemies.
Before I play the Biden clip, to that point, I fucked around and read some of the comments as I'm trying to pull these clips up. And a lot of them were like, Ice Cube was right. Bet y'all feel mad about clowning Ice Cube now. And I was just like, oh, buddy. So instead of playing one of those videos, I'm going to play a clip from the Intercept.
I don't want to hear no one coming in my inbox or feeling, oh, he trashed ADOS, he trashed. No, I did not.
You are for your inbox is going to get inbox ready. I'm warning you now as a friend, your inbox is going to have some stuff in it. And I'm on we're on the same ADOS side of this.
Listen, as long as ADOS says we are foundational Black Americans. Our contribution to America is unprecedented. Let me take the Haitian contributions to America away and let me see where ADOS is, where white America is. And then we'll talk. Bye-bye, Chicago.
Let's talk about Biden. Gaynell Harris says, okay, let's talk about Biden. All right, I am playing the Biden clip now. Let me know if you can't hear it for whatever reason.
One of the things I'd be concerned about, just as was pointed out to me that you wanted me to be concerned, Derek, I think it was you said it, about, dealing with Vilsack as in terms of agriculture. Well, first of all, you can learn more about Vilsack's record, but my point is this. I don't think we should make that a big issue going into before January 5th when the election takes place down in Georgia. But I also don't think we should get too far ahead of ourselves on dealing with police reform in that, because they've already labeled us as being defund the police. Anything we put forward in terms of the organizational structure to change policing, which I promise you will occur, promise you. Just think to yourself and give me advice whether we should do that before January 5th, because that's how they beat the living hell out of us across the country, saying that we're talking about defunding the police. We're not. We're talking about holding them accountable. We're talking about giving them money to do the right things. We're talking about putting more psychologists and psychiatrists on the telephones when the 911 calls through. We're talking about spending money to enable them to do their jobs better, not more with more force, with less force and more understanding. But I just raise it with you to think about. How much do we push between now and January 5th? We need those 2 seats about police reform, but I guarantee you there will be a full-blown commission. I guarantee you it's a major, major, major element.
That's not
Now,
even the best clip. Let me tell you, I don't think we should, because you guys listen. If you want to get the juicy stuff, go to the intercept clip.
I got the whole thing up. I got the whole thing up too.
Because we're short on time. Just go to the 1 hour mark and watch the last 40 minutes. That's not the best one. You don't see him go off. You got to hear him say things like, look. When we look at the media, we know things are changing. You know why? Because 15 years ago, 3 or 4 out of 7 of the commercials didn't have biracials in them.
Yes.
Like they do now. Direct quote. Joe Biden told civil rights activists who study the metrics of what are signs of racial progress that TV commercials with biracial babies were the sign of racial progress. Meanwhile, there are people who talk about the racial wealth gap and blah, etc.
Leah Boggs.
Let me get
huh? What do you say?
There's more. There's more we should talk about. Joe Biden tells the civil rights leadership when they're interrogating him about the numbers of black people in his administration, it was about they're not getting serious high-ranking jobs, but low-ranking jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He literally tells them, well, if this is not good enough for y'all, then to hell with y'all. Direct quote.
Okay, I got it. Ready? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I got it. Where he's talking about how he's the only person that was talking about he's going to restore the soul of America, which is pretty hilarious. To the defund the police point, I think you and I were having. Was it you and I having the discussion about the defund the police slogan in general, or was it me and we've had a lot of conversations in the last few days, and I swear it was me and you talking about defund the police. I don't agree with the way he said it, but there is issues with the slogan. Here in Oakland, actually, there was a movement to defund the police. The police had agreed to cut their budget by, I think, $300 million. And the organization that or part of the panel that was there to defund the police came back and said, and there was a whole article in the Chronicle about it, can you please not let any cops go because we're scared if you defund the police? So that does not bode well for the defund the police movement at this time. But let me get this Joe Biden yelling at colored people clip. Leah Boggs Jackson says the whole meeting summed up Biden. Don't ask me shiznit. I said what I said. Now sit your $5 ass down before I make change. Yes, Joe Biden definitely talked to those people like he was Nino Brown. He Nino Browned the shit out of those people. Here we go.
It was going over people's heads. They didn't know what we're talking about. The words of a president matter. What a president says matters. And you've never seen me shy away. In the middle of the debate, I called him a racist. In the middle of the debate with him, I took on white supremacists. I'm the guy that took on every single time somebody was threatened in this country. The only white boy you know who did it, period, out there, every single time. So look.
That's it.
That's
the only white boy I know.
He said, I'm the only white boy who did it. You know, when he said that, right, I went to YouTube and I got the clip from Wild Cherry, play that funky music, white boy. I said, to Joe Biden, the only white boy we ever know who did it. This one's for you.
Joe Biden says shit to black people. Again, go back and watch him talk to those black people at the pool. And not even that goofy shit about his golden hair on his legs. The way he talks to black people, he talks at black people so fucking hard.
Corn pop. Oh, this is a great
corn pop story. Yeah.
He's got a corn pop-like story in this video where he talks about this guy he knew. There was a guy I knew back in the day. He was a black guy. He wasn't really the smartest guy. He literally said he wasn't really the smartest guy in the brains. But and you know, I used to talk to him, And and I guess he said the guy's name was Willie. And then I'd be like, Willie, did you understand? And he would say, Joe, no, I overstand. And I'm telling you guys now, I overstand. And I'm like, Joe Biden thinks he's on some hip like 1965 Negroes. I didn't hear Negroes saying overstand until like the last 5-10 years. I just like, when do niggas starting to say Negroes?
I just want to know why there's no handler that's taking him aside and like, hey man, it's 2020. The shit you said in 88 and you can get away with, you can't do anymore. Like, again, watching those old Morton Downey clips, he grabs the ass and sometimes will just grab randomly his producer. One of his producers was a woman and like kiss her or grab an ass. Like, it's like no big deal. And he's like, it's just what I do. And that was part of his charm in 88, 87. Like, you can't just be grabbing your female producer. There was a whole movie about it with Fox News with Roger Ailes.
Let me tell you something, man. You gotta watch it. First of all, I said something to Glenn Ford. He said it was funny. I said, I'm gonna say something. This is gonna piss a lot of Democrats off. It's gonna piss a lot of Democrats off. Joe Biden talks to his black sycophants worse and more racist than Trump talks to his black sycophants. That's a fact.
I agree. We talked about this. And
let me tell you something about Joe Biden.
Tell him why.
Well, let me tell you. Because Joe Biden has no organic experience with black people and is a racist. Donald Trump is a racist. But Donald Trump thinks anyone who is not rich is some level of a nigga.
Yep.
And you know what? Donald Trump would rather hang out with Russell Simmons than the Proud Boys.
And Kanye West and the rest of them than the Proud Boys.
That's a fact. Joe Biden don't have any black people he wants to hang out with. I don't like Trump. Trump is a racist nut job. But my point is that Negroes put a lot we got to get the racist Trump. Oh my God. The soul of America. Trump is a piece of crap. He had to go. We basically got Trump without the reactionary politics of the Proud Boys with the same comportment.
Yep.
And less comedy.
Way less.
I'm not saying we have the same policy, but in terms of personality, it's an old racist white man who I would say, frankly, is more obnoxious in his personal treatment of black people than Trump would be, who is also a racist. Can I tell you why? Trump, I'm from New York City. I grew up watching Donald Trump. This is going to sound real crass. I don't care. Trump is a guy who in 1977 was going to Students 54, speculatively, allegedly, listening to disco, looking forward to have sex with black women. That's Donald Trump.
I buy that.
Allegedly snorting cocaine, maybe. I can't say that because, liability. All right?
I buy that.
Joe Biden in 1974 was looking for a black chauffeur. Or 76. The kind of racism that Trump is in New York City.
Fighting against busing, right?
Trump is a nouveau riche, crass, tacky, New York City white ethnic who is a racist but likes to have fun with black people who maybe entertain him or he thinks are cool or he likes. Trump is a kind of racist white guy who likes black people who like him because it makes him feel less racist. I don't think Joe Biden likes any black people.
Do you think in his someone says I loved how he would just talk over Vice President-elect once she begins to speak, even as Biden hands it off to Kamala to clean up his oratorical mess like the maid. Do you think that he's using Kamala Harris right now? Like, to him, this is like the
racial cover.
Like, hey, racial cover. This I did for Barack Obama. Now you guys are going to do this for me with Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
How does she play her hand?
Biden gave Obama racial cover with the reactionary racists in the Senate because Obama would send him to talk to them because they would tell Obama, boy, get out of my face, right? And Kamala Harris, by the way, we're not Obama fans here. Don't use the racism as an excuse to support that corporate tool. And Biden is using Kamala Harris to be the racial cover against the black political class and black politics. To be like, come on, guys, he made me VP, guys. I'm here. Mm-hmm. Are we happy? Mm-hmm. Because if you look at what all of these folks say, the first thing they say, Mr. President, we're happy for you to be here, and we've got to thank you for the brilliant idea of putting Kamala Harris on the ticket as the vice president. They're all giddy about that. By the way, no one asked the majority of the black working class support if they wanted a female or black female VP, or if they wanted the queen of mass incarceration, Kamala Harris. That was
you didn't get your black VP ballot in the mail?
No. But that's another conversation for another time. The larger point is that she's going to work as effective racial cover for him to, continue to carry on in this way. This is the black political class, okay? They are interested in their careers, advancement, and the problem with black politics is the black political class, at Black and Gender, we call them the black misleadership class, the fat back and biscuits chasers, only care about themselves. They don't give a damn about black people. They only care about black people enough to protect their economic and political interests in protecting their patronage and class position. Period. All right? I'm not saying that evil, they're like, they care about their wallets and their cheddar. That's it.
Real talk. I'm going to get into some more of this clip because we only have like 15 minutes left. Pamela Davis, a.k.a. my mom, says, I wish she would stop sounding like she just threw back 3 Harvey Wallbangers before stepping on stage, in reference to Kamala Harris. And my mom is being very tame.
I hope your mom is not mad at me or dislikes me.
I got to deal with my mama's black ass tomorrow morning when I drop off my son. I just want you to know that first thing in the morning, I'm going to get a finger wag and an eye roll from Pamela Davis. I just want you to know that. But that's okay. I love you, mama. Diana Gwynn says the ruling class pisses on all of us and tells us it's raining. And the majority think they care about our health. No, they're trying to kill us, and they're Dems and Repubs and everything else.
Shout out to Diana Gwynn, good friend, long-term friend of Black Radical Politics, respectable, wonderful sister. Shout out, Diana. Thank you for watching the show. Good friend of mine, wonderful sister.
And Brian Anand says, dang, Jason, you're going to have to get a secretary, a stenographer, something, because these are getting so deep and full of info that I need a transcript. Real talk, I literally just got emailed by a person that says that they do transcripts, but it is a fee, and I don't have enough patrons to pay for that. And my mom says, oh no, I love y'all. This is a great show tonight. So hopefully I get a hug from my mom and not a sarcastic finger wag. You're going to have to meet my mom when you come to California when the corona's on. She's actually she's a very, very, very good woman. I say this all the time on the show. She actually is an activist. She actually flies all over the country to help organize. Fight for 15. She was doing that shit before Bernie Sanders was talking about it, which kind of made me mad at that's another discussion. Kelly says she's loving the show. And my mom says she's going to give you a hug too.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
There you go. That's how we do. So before we go, we're going to play some more of this Biden shit. I think it's really fucking funny. And Pascal, if you need me to stop, let me know that you want me to stop. You said it, Pascal. Well, I'll read one more before we go. You said it, Pascal. Biden Harris equals the mass incarceration ticket. What do these black civil rights people expect? Well, I mean, I just want to say that the rhetoric was, it's easier to fight Joe Biden than it's going to be to fight Donald Trump, and I don't think it's a different fight, right? Would you agree, Pascal? It's a different fight.
It's a different fight. By the way, I'm not like Trump. I'm not one of these leftists who's like, oh, Trump was better than Biden. Biden was better. They both suck. They both a disaster. But I understand that why people believe Trump was a certain existential threat in the wake of COVID, people dying, and the fact that, some people believe, people told me, I didn't realize he had to go. When Trump did that Proud Boy shit at the debate, I was like, nah, man, this ain't funny no more. People used to say that debates don't matter, going back to the Kennedy-Nixon debate. I think this is the first debate in my adult political life where there was a debate that mattered. That first debate, people were like, this cat Trump is off the charts now. I think that affected many, particularly white voters who would have normally supported Trump. Do you go back? I suggest y'all go back and watch that first debate. My man Trump was unhinged, man.
Unhinged. You can watch it here on the YouTube channel because myself and Napoleon the Legend, we did a debate commentary where I pretty much was yelling the whole time with a lot of the insanity that was coming out of Donald Trump's mouth. But it is on here. Plug. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip so we can hear more Joe Biden talk crazy shit. Oh, did it play out? No. Sorry.
All I'm saying here is, guys and ladies, we're on the same exact page. The same exact page. We talked about closing the racial wealth gap. That's the single biggest thing I want to get done. It's the ultimate equalizer, no matter what else happens. Because I plan on spending over $15 billion to provide for opportunity for young black entrepreneurs to get them off the ground, black farmers to be able to own their own property, young people being able to get their first $15,000 down payment on a home, making sure that they have an opportunity to gain wealth. We can do all the rest of this unless the black...
Now, I did spend the majority of all my 20s working in finance and real estate finance. And where are you going to buy a home with the $15,000 down payment?
Black community is able to make up the wealth gap, in my humble opinion, is real trouble. I support...
And I own property in Florida, and that wouldn't have been a down payment.
Same-day registration. I'm the guy that extended the Voting Rights Act for 25 years as a United States Senator. Before, Sherilyn, you were even involved. I got it, and I started off, I'm much older than you. That's why I got involved in politics. The assault on the black vote and voting rights across the nation has never been more ugly than it is today. You got to go all the way back to the original Jim Crow to get where this guy is. If in case you haven't looked, we have the largest voting right, Kristen, my operation, 1,000 lawyers, bigger than you or anybody else out there on voting rights.
He won't stop.
No.
He won't stop yelling at these motherfuckers, and they're sitting there like...
I mean, you know what he's literally saying? He's like, I've done more to free you Negroes than you Negroes could have ever done. And he said, and what's so frustrating... By the way, you know what he was in? This is Mr. Mass Incarceration architect of the 94 crime bill, of the Reagan crime bill. This cat orchestrated every crime bill from Reagan until literally the last major one in this country. And he got the unmitigated gall with his pecklewood ass to tell these black folk, I've done more to liberate black people than you ever had. This is how sick black politics is. That people are dancing because this demon is in the White House.
Not just encourage the second Reagan term and the second and the first Bush term, which was like the third Reagan term, as they put it, was part of that Democratic Party.
I'm not telling you should have voted. I did not vote for Trump. I would never tell you to vote for Trump. I'm just telling you that, listen, first of all, why was Joe Biden the candidate? This cat was going nowhere in the primary. Nowhere. Sanders was waxing his behind. Even
waxing
everyone. Until Big Pharma finance, fatback and biscuits Negro Joe Clyburn, black misleadership, #1 candidate, corralled black politics in South Carolina under the direction of Barack Obama and the Democratic Party to make sure that there would be no way Bernie Sanders and any left candidate became president. And so after South Carolina is done, we got to make sure Biden gets in. Because black politics is a cartel brokerage politics. What does that mean, people? That means a small group of black political class Negroes calls up the black colleges, the black churches, the black teachers, and says, "Y'all got to get folk to come out and vote. We're gonna have souls to the polls on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We vote for Biden. Y'all. Come on. That's how black politics works. It's a cartel politics where these parasite black political class elites deliver votes for their fatback and biscuits. And the white left is not capable, does not understand the social, the historical, class contradictions and organizational mechanisms that exist in black America that facilitates that politics. The white left doesn't understand why it's important that Kamala Harris is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority and went to Howard. I'm in the black fraternity. I know how treacherous these Negroes are.
Gaynell Harris says it's Obama's fault for picking Biden as VP back in his election in 2008.
He needed to do it because he needed to have the reactionary white boy to give him cover.
And Biden had a reputation. I mean, I think history, either we weren't around for it or we just don't remember the history of Joe Biden. And unfortunately, because of time, Biden has been this kind of.
Tell people to hit the bell. Someone said, hit the bell don't just subscribe, hit the bell, hit the likes. I forgot how
please hit the likes. I'm not good. I'm not good at doing all that. Hit the bell, hit the likes, but just so people know, you can't monetize a YouTube channel until you get 1,000 subscribers, and you have to have so many hours watched of your channel before you can even monetize your channel. And I never cared to do that, and now I kind of have to get on it. So thank you very much. Thank you for anyone that's subscribing. Thank you. I appreciate it. I put a link up if you want to become a patron. I do have bonus content from not all the shows, but from a lot of the shows. And there's extra things that we are doing. We are creating a whole new show that's going to be an animated histories taught by different leftists. I've actually been talking with Pascal about doing a show about Haitian history. The first one, I did the voiceover for the first history. It's going to be a history on the rise of China. I'm excited about that. So if you feel so inclined and you're in the and you can help, I would appreciate it. Then I can get a transcriber for the show and we can have all this shit transcribed for patrons. That being said, enough of that. More Joe Biden yelling.
Diane had a great statement. It's a great statement because she quoted an article I wrote. She said, I think wealthy blacks aren't that concerned about what happens to the black underclass. We're still in the past politically. Politics of redemption. We live vicariously. The Politics of Redemption is a piece that I wrote. You can find it on Huffington Post or Black and General Report. That basically is about how, because of the nature of slavery and the history of black people in America, part of the posture of black people, and even Frederick Douglass was like this, is that black people need to be redeemed to white folk to show that we can do things like brush our teeth and wipe our behind. We need to be redeemed and prove that we're worthy, and prove that we're worthy to be respected. It's an infantile, ridiculously horrible mantra, because you know what? That carrot never stops getting moved away, because they're never going to allow you to be redeemed. Because the economic capitalist system requires you to be reduced to the reserve army of labor, or the surplus labor, or NIRU, or what Milton Friedman, the capitalist, admitted was the natural surplus labor in America. Check that piece out. It's a good piece. The Politics of Redemption. Pascal Robert, Huffington Post. It talks about that history and how Obama, Kamala Harris, and all these leaders, look, we got a black congressman. It's about that redemption. Now we can prove to the children that we can do things. Now we can prove because black folk need to be redeemed.
There's a good, if anybody's interested in Kamala Harris's history, because I know there were some pieces, the Times had wrote a piece, but there were more so they felt like hit pieces about her legacy as a prosecutor. NPR did, and take NPR for what it's worth. They have a podcast. I think it's a couple black people that do a podcast. I think it's called Code Switch or something. And they did a whole show on Kamala Harris. And she actually didn't want to come on. She didn't come on the show. And it was not a hit piece. It was one of the fairest histories of her political legacy. It doesn't go back into her life, and it definitely doesn't talk about her parents. Just her political legacy. And it was the fairest history of her legacy that I've seen or read. Because there are people that fuck with Kamala Harris. There's definitely a lot of people that don't fuck with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris caught a shit ton of shit for not giving the death penalty to a gang member that killed a cop in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that she's the greatest person in the world. I'm not saying that she's my pick for any political office. I'm just saying, if you want a better understanding of kind of who she is, where she sits, how she operates, how she thinks, that was the best thing I had seen or and read about her. Because I think we also, do you remember her being kind of that person on those committees that would interrogate the shit out of people?
Yeah, she's a prosecutor. I don't give any props for that. Listen, I'm not a Kamala Harris fan. I'm not going to listen. I don't like Kamala Harris because her career, she ran as a prosecutor, being tough on crime against a white prosecutor who was a progressive prosecutor. That's a fact. All right. She was not a progressive prosecutor.
But didn't Holleran, but hold on, didn't Holleran actually put somebody on death row? Because we weren't using the term progressive and again, this isn't to give her props.
I understand this. I'm not trying to give cover to Kamala Harris. All right, I can remove the mass incarceration stuff and interrogate. Kamala Harris has no core political principles. She will agree to anything, anytime, anywhere politically, as long as it works good for her resume and the political future.
We talked about that earlier today. She's been moving on up.
She was okay with Medicare for all until she realized she wanted to be VP. She's a careerist. I don't think she's evil. I don't think she's the devil. I don't think she's as horrible as Obama, because Obama was literally manufactured in a petri dish. At least she has a legitimate, you know what I'm saying? At least she has a legitimate political history. She's just a member of the black political class. All right? Who has the identity politics. She's biracial. She's married to a white guy, blah, blah, blah. All of that vapid stuff. She went to a black college. Oh, my God.
And there was a whole Washington Post piece just about her mixed husband. And they're
right. Listen, it's a pitch. All right. It's a cynical pitch. Period. Why is Kamala Harris's father, who was one of the most important black Marxist intellectuals in America in the late 20th century, saying, I don't support this identity politics candidacy?
Mm-hmm. Gaynell Harris says she's a political hoe.
I'm not going to go into that sexist direction. I know the story about Willie Garys that he confirmed. I don't want to go there.
Montel Williams, the singer Montel Williams?
She used to take Montel Williams. I don't want to go there.
Why isn't he talking right now? Why is he so fucking quiet?
I don't want listen. All right. I'm going to interrogate her as a politician. I am not going to interrogate her as a woman for doing things that men do all the time.
Yep.
And if you don't think that men sleep with certain women to increase their power, you're lying to yourself.
Yep. Back to Joe Biden yelling at black people. I'm gonna have Joe Biden yell at black people for a few more minutes. We're going over the hour and a half mark, but this is just too good right now. Joe Biden's gonna yell at black people for a little bit. Oh, Montel Williams. Okay, I got him confused with Montel Jordan. Sorry, right. I got my black light-skinned people confused.
Rights 1,000 in this campaign, not a joke. 1,000. So I want you to know, I understand this. I know, look at the 38 cases that have been brought against my being president of the United States. All about phony actions. And so I think there should be same-day registration, automatic voting rights. I've been pushing, and I got a number of people that contribute significantly to the effort down in Florida to make sure that federal prisoners who serve their time have every single right restored to them. That's been my position before it was anybody else's position. I've been out pushing that. In addition to that, I think it's really important that no one goes to prison for a drug offense. Nobody. They go into rehabilitation.
We're going to change the way the prison looks. It'll be a rehab prison.
More prisons.
You just stop it there.
I have a $20 billion effort that I'm proposing to get states to change.
You're picking the wrong clip. No, stop. That's the bad clip. That's an offensive clip. This is a cat who is responsible.
All of it's offensive.
No, this cat is more responsible for Negroes at the federal and state level being locked up than any single politician besides Bill Clinton, even more than Bill Clinton in America right now.
Yeah.
On a federal level. And he's talking about how I'm the reason. Listen, man. This cat is horrible. And again, I told you, the Clintons are my benchmark for my least favorite American politician. Joe Biden is up there. And it's not because I've always had contempt for him. It's because after interrogating his political record, like, this cat was Bill Clinton in the worst way before Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
Bankruptcy Bill Biden from the credit card state of Delaware. Come on, man. The reason why you can't charge off your student loans in bankruptcy is because of Joe Biden. Give me a break.
Clarence Thomas.
You know what I'm saying? If we don't want to interrogate why we had to vote for Joe Biden because of Trump, okay, no problem. Why did Joe Biden win the primary? Why?
Thank you.
Did black politics have anything to do with it? Yes, got a lot of black folk that are like, oh, we can't blame black politics. If we can't blame, If we can't blame black politics for why Joe Biden won the primary, why are people praising black politics for why Joe Biden is president now? If we were the reason he won the primary. Oh, you see how it works? You see how that con game works?
Mm-hmm.
Some people are like, no, you can't blame black folk. I'm not blaming black folk. I'm blaming the crap show that is black politics, which is a brokerage cartel system of the leadership class / black political class parasites who cartel black votes through social institutions in the black community, fraternities, sororities, the Masons, the Links, the Boule, the church, the black HBCUs, to have Negroes vote for these Democratic bloodsuckers. That's how black politics works. I challenge any political scientist to deny that.
So we have some comments. Kelly Dietz says, thank you, Pascal Robert. Gaynell Harris says, I said political. Exactly. She will do whatever it takes to achieve her political goals. Fair enough. You didn't call her a literal hoe, but we get it. Prison is rehab in his mind. I think he would have different prisons. I think he would have rehab-ish prisons. In Biden's mind, if you lock up all the black guys, these girls will stop having black babies.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Not if I have a say in it. Just kidding. Because I have all those kids. It's funny. You're not laughing at all today, Pascal. We usually joke and laugh. You can't fucking internet tickle your ass. DNC.
I got more energy. I've got more energized than I thought.
No more coffee for your chocolatey ass before you come on these shows. DNC and the establishment. That's what we have. That's why we have JB, Joe Biden. Wayne, to be fair, the yelling is reminiscent of an old man not understanding how Zoom meeting technology works, like my grandpa trying to do a video chat.
Tell that to Charlemagne the God. If you ain't voting for me, you ain't black.
Shahid Buttar is looking real good right now. Pelosi has got to go. Should have been gone. Shahid was on the show last week. So for those of you that are tuning in now, I had Shahid Buttar on last week with an economist that is going to come on the show quite a bit. He's a very far left economist. He actually got his doctorate under Richard Wolff, Dr. Asatar Bear. And I had Shahid on because he had been kind of doing some tweets about Pelosi. And if you don't know the show and know me, I actually worked on Shahid's campaign as a volunteer. Shahid's been on the show a bunch of times. He's actually a friend, like a personal friend. Like we talk on that level. And I try to give him a platform anytime he's got something to say. And he definitely went off last week. So if you're a YouTube subscriber, I would suggest go back and look at the show where we definitely Shahid has a equally as critical take on the Democratic Party. And I think now, after what happened to Shahid, he is very, very critical, and rightfully so, of the left, because the DSA class left that motherfucker out to dry, and it kind of did him dirty. So if you want to see that's on here too from last week. Anything you want to say before we wrap up? Because we went an hour 40.
We're over time, right?
That's good.
So we got to try to keep these under an hour, man. We get too long, man.
Well, I mean, I got you fired up from jump. That's my fault. I'll take responsibility for that. But I will blame the people in the chat because they also kept the fire going. So, and thank you guys for that. Yeah, this is a very interactive show. I try to make the show interactive. I don't do the thing where you only read people that do the super chat. I read all the chats. If you guys did a super chat, I won't see it right now, but thank you very much. This is fun. Pascal and I have actually been talking about doing this a little bit more in the new year. And do you want to talk about our end of the year show?
We're trying to put together an end of the year show with Toure Reed, the great black left historian, who has a wonderful book called Towards Freedom that talks about the dangers of race reductionism, where it actually talks about how race politics stops black people from having material politics that benefits them. And Cedric Johnson, a brother, great black left politics, who wrote the great book that I have here, From Revolutionaries to Race Leaders, Brother Cedric Johnson. That I have Tore's book here too. Torre, don't get back. I gotta find Tore's book.
No. I talked about that nigga's book enough.
All right. Cedric Johnson's book, Revolutionaries to Race Leaders, talks about how the Black Power era politics of the late 60s, early 70s transformed to give us the birth of the black political class. So we're trying to have an end of the year show with those two brothers, with me and Jason, and we're trying to find, because we do believe in gender balance, we want to have a black sister from the left, a black sister with left politics. So let's put out the request now. If you know black women with good radical left politics who feel confident to do media, who want to join us for the end of our year roundup, please Facebook inbox me or Jason, and we'll talk. By the way, a good friend, a comrade of mine, gave me the name of a black woman who was on Twitter. She's the black woman who wrote this great article I haven't read yet that I really look forward to reading. That's in the Boston Review called "Caste Does Not Explain Race," ripping apart that charlatan book, Caste. Isabel
Bill
Wilkerson.
Fletcher posted. I was reading that before we got on. Bill Fletcher posted that, and I was reading it, and I asked him what he thought about it, and he thought it was an amazing. I didn't finish it, but yeah.
Haven't read it yet, and hopefully she sees this podcast, and when someone sends it to her, I would love us to see if we can get the sister Sharice Burden Stelly to join us for our end of the year roundup with Touré Reed and Cedric Johnson. She's a black radical left, anti-capitalist, anti-sexist, anti-imperialist sister. I don't know her. I haven't read the article. I've heard good things. Now, she was suggested to me by a sister comrade that I know. And I would love to find out if we can get to have her join us to give some gender balance, so it's not just black men talking about black politics around each other, and have a black female perspective, a radical black woman's perspective incorporated. So if y'all know her on Twitter, try to get her. And by the way, and we're going to talk about this now, Jason and I have been talking about and asking, why are black left women on social media who Jason is trying to tweet to come on our show and give gender balance, interrogating black politics, not answering back? Is it because Jason is not as popular as some of these white leftists? Is it because he doesn't have the following of certain people who might be in DSA? Is it because, he doesn't have he's just a year in this game and doesn't have the clicks yet? If you're interested in starting a black left media project that I hopefully, inshallah, God willing, that me and Jason can help get off the ground, and you don't want to be limited to the traditional stereotype of black left politics, if you're not necessarily a Marxist Leninist or a revolutionary nationalist, maybe you're just a Marxist, maybe you're just a Democratic socialist, maybe you just don't like capitalism and imperialism or sexism and racism. Shout at us. We are trying. And by the way, this does not mean we only want, but we want women in general. But as black leftists, who in the history sometimes in the past have been accused of excluding black female voices, we want to give platform to black radical left sisters. So if y'all have sisters that y'all know who are good in terms of media savvy, smart, good communicators, who have good politics, and Jason and I are not stuck on the traditional tropes of revolutionary left black politics. We're not cultural fetishists. We're not all, we don't hate Africa. We don't, we love our blackness. But we're not out here with dashikis on talking about my African people, my African people, my African people. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind brothers that call themselves Africans. What I'm saying is that we're trying to just have a space. And we'll have black left folks like that. I got my political education from some black left folk like that. What I'm saying is that we're trying to create a black left space for people who don't fit into a box, into a club, and into a T-shirt of black left politics, so we can interrogate these problems from the white left, the black left, the white ruling class, the black political class, international foreign policy, the right wing, the conservatives, but with the integrity of the radical tradition of black left politics.
Gaynell Harris, I just want to say that I've actually hit up a lot of, there's been a few black women that have actually come on the show. Angela Walker, who actually has been on the show a couple times, who was the Green Party VP candidate, is someone that is willing to come back on the show more. But she actually does work a 9-to-5 job, and she has the organizing that she's doing literally the same night. So that's one problem. Other than that, man, it has been really a hassle. Hassle's a bad word. It's been a demoralizing fight, because you do feel like, well, and there's been some people, I don't want to name their name, that actually kind of came at me with that whole like, well, you're following's not big enough for me to care what you have to say, and that kind of hurts my feelings. It's like, well, you don't really care about the conversation.
It was big enough for Gerald Horne, who the black left loves, to come on.
Yeah,
it's big enough for Adolph Reed, who the white left and a lot of the black left love, to be talking about coming on in January.
Yeah,
Adolph's son has already been on the show
twice. So we're having good conversations here, and the comments that you guys give me in my inbox means a lot. When people say, "Hey, I'm looking at this whole Ta-Nehisi Coates thing," or "I didn't know about this thing," and thanks for doing like that. All means a lot, and it keeps me doing this show and making sure I'm in contact.
I want to make this clear. We got to put this out here, right? We are not race essentialists. Black people are magical.
No.
We know that there will never be true left politics in America without black people, period. 2016 and 2020 prove that. And we're trying to be a place where not only black people who already have left politics can come, but black people who have never interrogated maybe why they should have left politics to come, to get a political history as to why capitalism, imperialism, sexism, and racism don't work for black folk in America, and why you shouldn't be afraid to work with white people to challenge capitalism, and at the same time tell a cracker to go fuck off if he comes at you the wrong way.
That's fair. That's fair. My mom says, yeah, my kid and my girlfriend have definitely been on the show. So that being said, thank you guys. There's a link in the description to the Patreon if you can become a patron. Thank you guys for everyone that subscribed to the show. This shit means a lot to me. Pascal, I can't say thank you enough for agreeing to come on and having this conversation that we're not quite done with.
There's a lot to it.
There's a lot to unpack with this conversation. We're not quite done.
In the words of my dear departed beloved mentor Bruce Dixon of Black Agenda Report, longtime black leftist, black radical, it's a target-rich environment.
There's a new episodes of the podcast actually drop every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Sunday. And the new episode, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is a live stream that I did. I dumped the audio because I did have to make some edits or some things that the gentleman said he didn't want on there, with Dr. Giovanni Batts, that actually is doing a lot of work with the indigenous population in Guatemala. And we talked about immigration, the history of it, the history of U.S. imperialism, and not just Guatemala, but Central America, why people are even leaving Central America to come here, why would they even want to. It was a great conversation. It'll be up 7 a.m. Subscribe to the podcast. Doesn't cost you anything. Anything you want to say? Wayne, before you go, Wayne, you gotta read this. Wayne says, my white rural bubble living ass needs your loud ass voices to remain educated. Thank you both. Wayne lives in the middle of nowhere in Oregon, but he's a good dude. He's a comrade. So is there anything you want to say?
Yo, shout out to the comrade. And by the way, listen to my white left comrades. Don't get off-putting because I'm not one of those typical geeky black leftists who's like, wow, John, I'm so amazed by your knowledge of Marx's 18th Brumaire. I'm not that cat. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually, I'm a black man of a certain age, with testosterone, who is not ashamed to be a man, and you can deal with us. We're not all the angry black man, even though we can be angry. We're human beings.
I definitely can be the angry black man.
I like the angry black. I like the angry black man trope. I got no problem with the angry. I like it. You know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time. Like I put up images from the Haitian Revolution on my Facebook page. Yeah. I was like, when I'm in the mood dealing with white leftists, sometimes I run this image through my mind, and they're like, oh my God, it's a great image from the Haitian Revolution. A little story real quick, because we're going to do a Haitian history.
We're doing a Haitian history podcast and animated. Yeah.
Just quick. Rochambeau was a French general Napoleon sent to defeat the Haitian revolutionary forces. Sick, depraved guy who wanted to genocide all the black people on the island. Rochambeau takes 500 Haitian generals, soldiers, not generals, high-ranking soldiers, during the Haitian Revolution and shoots them in the head. People are terrified. The Haitian forces are terrified. Like, oh my God, what did you do? Jean-Jacques Dessalines takes 500 white high-ranking generals, soldiers, and hangs them publicly with 500 hanging trees all up and down a hill and lets their bodies rot there for the French to see. To this day, the French despise Jean-Jacques Dessalines. He's the most maligned figure in Black history because he challenged the lie that is white supremacy and imperialism and racism. And he never gets his due. People love to talk about Toussaint Louverture. You don't realize that Toussaint Louverture died in France in a jail, begging Napoleon to send him back to be his general protecting the island for Napoleon. Dessalines was not having that. And no one knows about that man.
That's an important history. So if you guys want to hear more, a radio voice, if you guys want to hear more, tune into. No, thank you very much, Pascal. And we have to dive. We have to do probably like maybe we'll break it down into like segments of the Haitian history if you're down.
I'm down.
And we'll do it podcast format because we go too long. We're going 2 hours. All right, I'm out. Thank you guys very much for watching the show. I appreciate each and every one of you. And we are out. Where's it go?